OK.ru.
Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And maybe then Twitter.
Okay. So, in other former Soviet countries, there's, say, for example, I've spent a lot of time in Ukraine. We just came from Belarus.
Mm-hmm.
We were there for a week. And, there's an enormous amount of Russian programming, so TV programs. Almost all programs in Belarusian TV is Russian and coming from Russia, in large amount in Ukraine. But you don't have that problem here.
No, we don't have, and this also has its cultural reason too, because Belarus and Ukraine, their language is similar to Russian, right?
Right.
And for example, I have colleagues in both countries. They mainly speak Russian, even among their friends, with their friends. But in Armenian, it's quite different. It's not. Both in the low sphere is not encouraged, and also culturally, we have our programs in our languages. That was the case in 90s when all the films were in Russian, and we thought on this. We studied Russian, learned Russian on this, but now it's not.
And do you have this older segment of society who wants to go back to Soviet times?
Not that much. I think many things have changed.
Mm-hmm.
Previously, previously there might be a huge debate on whether we need to cooperate more with Russia or not. Today it's much loose. That's not, I think, a big issue. Yeah, of course there are people who cherish Soviet Union and the system of everything worked back then, but they are mainly elder people.
During the revolution, were you covering day-to-day stories, or were you still focusing on your investigative pieces?
Both. We needed to do the daily thing because people needed information every minute, every hour, and so we have all our colleagues were outside working, but from time to time we did also big stories about some bigger issues like collecting information and then presenting them in a different way, etc. So we tried to do both of them.
And so what stories were you specifically working on?
At that time? And you are asking me personally?
Yeah.
Well, because I was also covering from time to time this daily events and also sometimes updating the website. I managed to do a story about cars and transportation used by police without. That was a controversial issue. Police used transport they took buses, microbuses from companies without their permission in order to move their troops from one place to another. And also they moved the plates from the cars. That is a violation of the law. So I gathered all this information, all the photos and comments from authorities, and then published this. This was the main or the only story that I could do during these days, because everything was so rapid that you needed to follow it, update it.
So did the companies offer those vehicles, or were they seized?
No, when I called them, they said we were not. We didn't agree to give them their buses. They came. They said we take it for 2 days, for 2 hours, and it is 2 days that it is there.
Is that the truth, or do you believe otherwise?
There was no otherwise because the police, when I approached them, they didn't comment this information. They they couldn't even say, well, to comment this violation of rules that they couldn't ride car without plates. So this is a serious violation. If done, for example, by taxis, they might be published immediately. But when the police does this, there was some kind of this kind of things, yeah. And I think it was colleagues did other types of these kind of stories about other issues, and I think that was also needed.
What kind of stories did your colleagues do?
Well, I will try to remember. I think someone was doing about the violation of human rights on these days. If I'm not mistaken, I will send the archive.
What kind of violations?
For example, taking to a police station and keeping there for longer time than allowed, or
And were media taken to the media? Were media arrested?
there were media representatives arrested, but mainly not, because there were tens of people just gathered, and I think even hundreds of them in one day. But there were media representatives among them. For example, one of my colleagues who before that worked in this in Pashinyan's outlet. One day he was beaten, another day he was taken to presumably police station with a car without plates. So you couldn't identify either it is. But the command was from a police commander.
And this guy worked with Pashinyan?
Previously, yes, but then he moved. At these days, he moved to a media outlet that is doing fact checking mostly.
It's doing fact checking.
Yeah, it was several days that he was working in this outlet.
So do you think he was targeted because he was a Pashinyan former colleague?
I don't think so, because the policeman wouldn't be that much informed.
Yeah.
He was just doing his job with a smartphone, doing live streaming, and he was taken because of it.
And how often are journalists in general, outside of the revolution, how often are they arrested?
Mainly at the times of demonstrations.
Demonstrations?
Yes. Outside of it, it is not that common, but at the time of revolutions, in 2015, for example, when these electric Yerevan protests were, me and several of my colleagues were detained also, and then we are, of course, this year my colleagues had the high school this wearing this war equipment in order
The flak jackets?
Yeah, the jackets in order not to be harmed. Yeah, this and even the these helmets.
You guys were wearing flak jackets and helmets during the revolution?
On the first several days they were. Yeah, sure.
You were or they were?
My colleagues, because I wasn't that much involved. But for example, our photojournalist that was sitting right there,
Yeah.
this guy, he was all the day he was wearing this.
Wow, that's really hot.
Yes.
And not only that, a flak jacket is usually used to deflect bullets.
Yeah, but you know, Media Initiative Center, that you will be, that Media IM is part of this organization, right? And they had training, security training, and they said, we have this equipment, and in order for you to be safe, we offer you. And the journalists took it because on these days the police used these gas bullets, so they might be harmed if targeted directly.
Excuse me, what did you say? Gas bullets?
That is something that is